Cheating on me? Suddenly my husband Andrew said such a thing to me and I could not understand what he was saying. I am Ava, 35 years old, an office worker. I married my husband Andrew 5 years ago and we live together with my husband's parents. Actually, I am remarried to Andrew. I was 25 years old when I got married for the first time. My first husband was a child lover, and he talked he wanted to have 3 children in the future. I was also looking forward to having children with my ex-husband. However, after 3 years, we still could not have children. I was so concerned that I went to a hospital for an examination. It turned out that the cause of my inability to have children was me. Moreover, the pregnancy rate was infinitely low, and I was told that I would have to undergo specialized treatments such as in vitro fertilization. Of course, I intended to undergo specialized treatment. However, my ex-husband was different. When he found out that I was the cause of his inability to have children, he served me with divorce papers. Wait a minute, what does this mean? I was upset that he suddenly served me with divorce papers. I believed that my ex-husband, who loved children, would definitely cooperate with infertility treatment. But
I'm sorry, but even if we did have fertility treatment, you don't know if it would bring any results, do you? Do we really need to pay a lot of money for that kind of treatment?
apparently, my husband was intimidated by the high cost of infertility treatment. What are you talking about? It's not right to divorce me over something like that. I'll pay for it out of my savings. So why don't we just work it out? I have money because I have been saving money while saving ever since I was single. If we have infertility treatment, I can cut into that savings. That's what I thought. Apparently, this was not the only reason he decided to divorce.
My mother has told me many times that I would rather remarry a young man who can have children than stay with you who can have children.
It seems that my mother-in-law is the main reason for his decision to divorce. My mother-in-law and I don't get along very well, and from the beginning of our marriage, she didn't seem to like me. When she found out that I was infertile and could not have children, she urged my ex-husband to get rid of his wife. I didn't think that my ex-husband would obey my mother-in-law and file for divorce rather than me. I was really shocked. In the end, I could not trust my ex-husband who chose my mother-in-law over me, and I put a period on my first marriage. After that, I was very dragged down by my ex-husband, and I spent some time in depression. In an attempt to cheer me up, my peers invited me out to dinner and made plans to go out on weekends, but nothing I do seems to make me feel better. When I see families with children on the street, I sometimes shed tears and think, oh, how I wish I could be like that. And as a woman, I resented those women who could have children. However, 2 years after I left my ex-husband, I had a fateful encounter. It was when I left the cafe and was about to take out my commuter pass to catch the train home. The commuter pass that was always in my bag was not there, and I impatiently searched through my bag. I took out all the contents of my bag, but could not find it, so I decided to return to the cafe where I had stopped earlier. When I returned to the cafe, I checked with the master to see if the commuter pass had fallen out, and he said, "Though, that's your commuter pass. It was under the chair over there." It was Andrew, my now husband, who called out to me at that moment.
Master, the person who dropped the pass just now is here. It's the young lady over here.
Saying that, the master held out my commuter pass in front of me. "Thank you very much. I can't go home without it, so thank you." I thanked the man and was about to leave.
Hey, are you by any chance Ava, who works for Compania?
Suddenly he said my name, and I couldn't help but say, "What?" When I asked him about it, he told me that he had seen me at one of our business partners. Andrew is 3 years younger than me, taller than me, and had once worked as a cutting model. He was indeed a good-looking guy with a good style because of his experience as a cutting model. I had no idea that he remembered my name, and it made me very happy. This led to small talk whenever we met at work. There were always young female employees around Andrew, and seeing that made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Andrew was friendly and kind, and I gradually became attracted to him. However, I thought that he probably didn't have any interest in me, a simple divorcee, but Andrew asked me to go out with him, and of course I decided to do it because I liked him so much. When the younger employees found out that Andrew and I were dating, they took notice of me, especially since I was divorced. I often heard voices like, "I don't understand why Andrew is dating such an old lady." I began to be harassed. My desk items were missing. People were saying bad things about me in the locker room, and I was having a hard time. Because of this, I got married to Andrew and resigned after 6 months of dating to protect me from harassment. I thought I would be able to spend happy days from now on. I did not expect to be subjected to Andrew's true nature and my in-laws' insidious harassment as soon as we got married. Soon after our marriage, I started living with my in-laws. According to my in-laws, Andrew is their eldest son and they need him to take care of them in the future. Andrew has an older sister, but she is already married and lives in the countryside and cannot take care of them. I thought, well, I'm the wife of eldest son, so I should at least take care of my parents-in-law. I thought so, but I had no idea that Andrew had a habit of cheating on his wife. One day, when I was hanging Andrew's jacket on a hanger, I found a hotel membership card in his breast pocket, and that's when I discovered his affair. "Hey Andrew, what's this all about? Why is something like this coming out of my breast pocket?" I showed the membership card in front of Andrew and tried to ask him what was going on.
You have bad taste going through others' jackets.
Andrew is clearly in a bad mood. But this is not the time to worry about such things. I don't care about that. Can't you just explain to me what's going on? I was so shocked and angry that he had cheated on me that I couldn't understand what was going on and started to cry. It was when Andrew sighed painfully.
Don't make a fuss about it. You're pathetic.
My mother-in-law, who had been watching our exchange, suddenly interrupted the conversation and began to get angry at me. "What do you mean pathetic? I found something like this." Of course I would be angry. I couldn't understand why she had to call me pathetic. So I finally retorted to my mother-in-law.
It's very common for men to cheat. It's no use getting upset about it. Can't you at least let bygones be bygones?
In other words, my mother-in-law said that I should let bygones be bygones and pretend that this had never happened. I was not convinced by his first affair, and it was hard for me to accept it. But this was only the beginning. After that, Andrew repeatedly cheated on me whenever I found out about his affairs. Andrew and I would get into a big fight. When he gets mad, he curses me over the head, which really pisses me off. And recently, he has not only cheated on me, but he and my in-laws have started cursing me together. They complain that I don't clean properly, that my soup tastes too weak, that the way I hang my clothes is wrong, etc. These complaints are a daily occurrence. They called me a housekeeper, not a wife, and used me as a jaw-dropper. When my mother-in-law found out that I was having difficulty conceiving a child, she said, "Why did you bring such a defective wife into our family? My son is the eldest son, and I want him to have an heir. I don't want a woman who can't produce an heir. I want you to leave Andrew." She said these things to me almost every day, and I would quietly shed tears while taking a bath. I lost track of what we got married for. At first, every time Andrew cheated on me, I cried and tried to persuade him. But after 3 years of marriage, I realized that it was useless to do so anymore and stopped saying anything. According to Andrew, if he married me, who could not have children, he would not have to worry about child support even if we got divorced. He said that he chose me, who were a quiet woman, because he could have an affair after marriage without worrying about it. I thought he had married me because he loved me, but I was disappointed to hear such a thing. If that was the case, I thought I should just leave him. Just as I was thinking that, an incident happened. I received a call on my phone from an unknown number. When I answered the phone, I heard a woman's voice saying that Andrew had lost consciousness and was unresponsive. I had no idea what she was talking about, and at first I thought she was joking. But the woman was speaking in a trembling voice, and I no longer believed she was lying very much. I asked her what happened to Andrew now, and she told me that he was taken to the hospital by ambulance. When I heard from the woman which hospital he was taken to, I left work early and headed for the hospital. However, after arriving at the hospital, the doctor told me that Andrew had passed away. I should have been sad to hear that I had suddenly lost my husband, but I naturally did not shed a tear. Later, I learned from the police that Andrew was having fun with his lover when he suddenly started suffering from a heart attack and suddenly stopped moving. It was very typical of Andrew to end up cheating on me until the very end. I had a strong feeling of betrayal, and the pain was stronger. When I told my mother-in-law that Andrew had passed away, my parents-in-law rushed to the hospital and were half crazed, clinging to the deceased Andrew. In front of the cold Andrew, my parents-in-law said, "You plague." They suddenly yelled at me, calling me a plague, and threw her bag in her hand. "What are you doing all of a sudden? It's dangerous." I was so startled that I unintentionally said that back to my mother-in-law in a loud voice.
It's your fault. Because you don't give your heart and soul to Enru on a regular basis. That's why Enru got stressed out and had a heart attack. It's all your fault.
She blamed me in front of everyone, saying that it was my fault that Andrew died. I was the one who was betrayed. So why was it my fault? I did not agree with my mother-in-law at all. Forgetting that we were in a hospital, my parents-in-law were in a frenzy in the mortuary. They were screaming so loudly that the doctors and nurses who knew about the commotion stopped them.
Father and mother, please calm down. This is a hospital. You're disturbing other people.
I know it's hard for you, but please calm down a little.
The doctors and nurses were quieting down my parents-in-law desperately. They still continued to lash out. So my parents-in-law were forcibly removed from the mortuary where Andrew was. As they were leaving the room, my mother-in-law said to me, "Why didn't you disappear instead of Andrew? I don't want to see your face." She spit it out and went. At that moment, I heard something snap inside me. Now that Andrew was gone, there was no need for me to stay at my parents-in-law's house. So I called my parents and told them about Andrew's death. I had been discussing with them about Andrew and my in-laws for some time, and I decided to return to my parents' house because of this incident. I went home and were about to contact the funeral company to schedule the funeral with my in-laws. I was told that I did not have to attend the funeral. Why? I am Andrew's wife. Shouldn't I be the chief mourner? And convinced by my parents-in-law's words, I asked them why I could not attend the funeral.
Our son died because of you. I don't want someone like that to attend the funeral. You stay at home.
There was no way I could accept being told to stay at home. Besides, if I, as his wife, do not attend the funeral, even my relatives will think it's strange. I want them to let me say my final goodbye to Andrew. After an hour of persistence, my in-laws finally agreed to let me attend Andrew's funeral. The real reason why I want to attend the funeral is to prevent my in-laws from spreading lies about Andrew in my absence. I am sure they would say it was my fault. Sure enough, at the funeral, they told that he was worried about the fact that he and I didn't get along. They told that he had been fed an unbalanced diet, something that never happened. No, it is not true. Andrew died because he had a heart attack while he was having fun with his lover. It was not my fault. My in-laws were scowling, as if they didn't expect me to say such a thing in front of my relatives.
And no, that's not it. That woman is lying. My son died because of Ava. Don't believe what that woman says.
My mother-in-law, who wanted to blame me for everything, was desperately trying to explain herself in front of everyone. However, the relatives had known about Andrew's unfaithfulness for a long time. When they learned of the circumstances surrounding his death, their faces quickly changed from sadness to dismay. After the funeral was over without incident, I decided to disappear from my in-laws as planned. It was really refreshing to think that I could say goodbye to my in-laws now. I took the minimum amount of luggage I had loaded in my car beforehand and drove straight home to my parents' house. That night, I received a devilish phone call from my mother-in-law, who was suspicious that I had not returned.
What the hell do you think you're doing? I can't allow you to humiliate me in front of all those people.
Apparently, they didn't like the fact that I told them the true cause of his death in front of his relatives. But even if I lied, they would definitely find out later. So I thought it would be better to expose it from the beginning and decided to reveal the real reason. Well, she is not a very convincing mother-in-law.
Where are you now? Go home and get ready for dinner.
I had lost my patience with my selfish in-laws. I decided to reveal something to my mother-in-law who was in such a good mood. I have nothing to do with you now. I have filed a notice of termination of marriage. I will not help you in any way from now on. Now that Andrew is gone, I am sure my parents-in-law will ask me to take care of them in their old age. I thought to myself, I definitely don't want to take care of my in-laws now that Andrew is gone. So I submitted the marriage termination notice. Once I submit this, I am now a complete stranger to my parents-in-law. I would no longer have to take care of them.
You've got to be kidding me. I will never allow you to do that. Stop being unfaithful and come home now.
My mother-in-law yelled at me over the phone, probably not liking my defiant attitude. I no longer have to be at the mercy of such a mother-in-law. My heart was as light as a feather when I thought of that. My mother-in-law must have been in a rage at the time, because she said, "Have it your way." That was all she said and hung up the phone. Well, for me personally, it was refreshing to be free from my parents-in-law. 3 months later, after such a big talk, I received a phone call from my mother-in-law again.
It's been a long time, Ava. How have you been?
I was surprised inside because my mother-in-law had never asked me how I was. I'm fine. What's going on?
I have a favor to ask of you, Ava. I need your help to take care of me.
Apparently, my mother-in-law had been involved in a car accident, and at the time she hit her back and could not walk well. She said it was very difficult for her to do anything, and she wanted me to come home and help take care of her. Did you think I would come back and help you? There was no way I was going to help you. I couldn't help but wonder why she thought I would help her after all that had happened.
Wait a minute, Ava. I need your help. My husband has been having a lot of back pain lately, and I'm having a really hard time.
Her excuses were so desperate that I could not help but laugh. Mother-in-law, no matter how hard you try to convince me, I am a stranger to you now that I have registered the termination of our marriage. I have nothing to do with you anymore. There is no need for me to care for you. Please ask your helper to take care of you. Perhaps she thought that if she said it in a troubled voice, I would feel sorry for her and help her. But I was also determined to be mindful and never help her, no matter how much she begged me. So, I stuck to my own way of thinking and did not try to help my mother-in-law no matter how much she asked me to. It is such a convenient thing that she usually makes fun of me. But when the time comes, she relies on me. They call their relatives, but no one was willing to help my parents-in-law. This was not the only misfortune that befell my parents-in-law. In fact, it seems that Andrew had been taking advantage of the company's expenses to go on an affair trip. The company has now discovered this as a result of various investigations, and they has been charged for the entire cost of the trip in one lump sum. My parents-in-law, who are not usually good at managing money, naturally do not have the money to pay in a lump sum, and they asked me to pay just that if I cannot take care of them. Naturally, I have no intention of helping them in any way either. In the end, my in-laws had to borrow money to make a lump sum payment for all of this as well. I wonder how it must feel to not be able to get help from others when you are in trouble. I am sure this time was a good medicine for my parents-in-law. I hope they will use this experience as an opportunity to never be cold toward others.